Okay, so I'm going to quickly take you through one of the things you need to know for GCSE is the difference between a skill and ability and how to classify them, and then these words that are called fine and gross and what the hell those mean, all right, as well as complex and a few other things. So not too long, but probably some new words coming at you. So this is skill and ability, classification of skills. Okay, you need to get these down. You can, if you want, make them a little bit shorter. You don't have to copy out every word, but skill, a learned action, that's really important. Okay, learned behavior with the intention of bringing about predetermined results with maximum certainty and minimum outlay of time and energy. Now that sounds like a lot, but at the end of the day, when you're learning a skill, let's take any skill like kicking the ball, when you think about it in football, you want it to definitely go where you want it to. You're going to practice it, so it's going to go where you want it to. And also, you don't want to use all of your energy up on doing it. So any skill with learned behaviour to try and make sure that we're going to get the results that we want with the minimum outlay of time and energy. Okay, an ability, and where this is different, this idea that it's inherited from your parents. They are stable traits, which mean they don't get better or worse. They're stable traits that determine an individual's potential to learn or acquire a skill. So some of you may be really good at something like balance. You might, people might have said all your life, oh, you've got such good balance. They say about Messi when he's running, oh, his balance is amazing. He just manages to just bounce off people and never fall over. So he's got really high balance. That has led for him to have the potential to learn and acquire new skills. So it's led to his potential to be a fantastic football player with a lot of skills. All right, so you need to, the main difference is one is learned, one is inherited. Okay, one can be changed and improved skill, one is stable traits, and that's ability. All right. Skills, remember these are learned actions. For example, passing a ball, smashing a shuttlecock, stopping a hockey ball, anything that you've learned basically. Okay, pretty much anything you talk about in your sport, football, rugby, basketball, whatever, if you break it down, it will be a skill. Abilities, all right, stable traits that help perform skills. So to have good coordination, some good balance, they're the main two. I suppose I was going to go on a tangent there, but they're the main two that really, for you to be a fantastic football player, for you to be Messi, you had to have been born with some fantastic balance and some fantastic coordination. His ability to use both his feet, all of those things mean that he's more of a skillful player, but there's these underlying abilities in the background. Okay, then we move on to these ideas of classifications of skills. So we've got basic versus complex, open versus closed, self-paced versus externally paced, gross and fine. And we're just going to talk through a few of these now. Basic versus complex. Okay, so basic, few decisions to be made, few decisions actually affect the success of movement, tend to be taught as a beginner, learnt very quickly. Walking is a basic skill, jumping is a basic skill. Okay, on the opposite side, a complex, a much more intricate skill would be a complex skill. So that takes decision making, which one of your complex skills you're going to use and when. Lots of decisions to be made in order for it to be successful. It tends to be experienced players after they've got the basic stuff. Okay, it can take a very, very long time. Okay, so for me, I think about a serve in tennis. Seems really easy when you watch a tennis player doing it, but actually when you break it down to somebody, they have to be able to throw the ball up the correct way, they have to be able to jump, all of these different coordinations to hit the ball at exactly the right moment to get it over. So it can take a considerable amount of time to master. Okay, a high jump is a complex skill. Coordination, bend, correct time, doing all of the different movements. A double back somersault is an example there for trampolining. But anything that would take a significant time to master and is complex. Hopefully you get that idea of a basic skill and a complex skill. Okay, open and closed. If we start with closed, it should make more sense. So closed is a stable environment. The way you do the skill is not affected by the people around you. You will not change how the skill is done. It will be the same every time. Okay, a javelin throw is a good example. A shot put. What else would you have? Even in some ways, a 100-meter sprint, because it's not being affected by anyone around you. Okay, they might try to affect each other, but at the end of the day, it's the same 100 meters. It doesn't change. They don't put stuff in the way. New things don't appear. So it is a closed environment. What is this? It's typically self-paced, so that maybe takes out the idea of 100 meters. But something like shot put and javelin, even high jump, be self-paced. Even maybe taking a football penalty. Right? Yes, the ref blows the whistle, but you've got a choice of when you're going to start your run up. You can delay it for a little bit if you so wish. Right? So they're closed environments. They don't change. The goal isn't moving around. There's not the idea of a deflection or something. So that's a closed environment. Stable, doesn't move. Open environment is unstable. Okay, the way you do the skill is affected by the people around you. You may decide to do the skill differently to normal because of the environment, e.g. what your opponent is or isn't doing. Okay, it's externally paced, so a football pass may be carried out a certain way to avoid oncoming opponents. So having to change the way you do something because of somebody coming at you. You were gonna take a shot in this way, you're going to hit it low and hard, but then somebody's gone and stood exactly where you're going to do it, so you had to change your your idea of what you're going to do with that shot, because it's an unstable environment, it's an open environment, it's always changing. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Self-paced versus externally paced. So self-paced, I've slightly covered on it already. The start of the movement is controlled by you when you want to start. So long jump, shot put, high jump. It's up to you when you start. They've got you can't take forever to do it, but they'll get the crowd going. They'll have their routines that they do. That's self-paced. Up to you, basically. All right. Externally placed is the start of the movement is controlled by external factors. When receiving a badminton serve, you only start the returning shot when your opponent has performed the serve. The speed, pace, or rate of movement is controlled by external factors. So we've got a sprint start there. And any game that you're not starting off. So you could argue that self-paced might be a serve, but actually the person you're serving to is externally paced. They're not going to just go, I'll let that ball go past, and then it's already gone. So they have to react to you and the pace of somebody else, so that is externally paced. And last one, gross and fine. Hopefully you will have come across these two words before. A gross movement is a huge movement. Okay, we always talk about rugby tackles as a gross movement. So it involves the big muscles. So rugby tackle, you've got your legs, your glutes, your shoulders, your back, your arms, everything is involved. Involves all of your large muscle groups. Movements tend not to rely on accuracy and precision. So in a rugby tackle, it'd be good to be really precise, but really you're just running into someone as hard as you can, using all of your, your muscle and everything you can. Sprinting, okay, it's not precise there. It's a gross sport. They're using everything they've got, all of those muscles for a sprinter. Okay, they're firing everything they can at it. It's a gross sport. All right. Fine is small, precise movements, tiny little muscle groups. So that might be shooting, it might be darts, archery. These things that involve small movements but are very, very precise. Okay, so that's a gross and a fine skill. Golf sometimes can be described as a fine skill if you're doing something really little. Right, maybe a drive is a bit more gross. But that would be a debate, this idea of where on the line of gross to fine, like a golf stroke would be. Because they are using some big muscles, but it takes precision and accuracy. Okay, and just for the lesson, I'd like you, just at the bottom, you can number these. You can say 1, 2, 3. You can say the sprinter, the tennis player, and the gymnast, and just go through those things of open, closed, fine. Fine, gross, externally paced, self-paced, and can you just tell me which one you think is which? So under each one of these, number 1, you should have, it's a gross skill, it's an open skill, it's externally paced, whatever it may be, just to show your understanding, and that will be our starter in the lesson. All right, good luck.